Hi, I'm Greg Ridge. This is the 1000-second album podcast, and these are the songs from 1982 that Jeff and I think you should hear.
Hi, I'm Jeff Stephen, and you're listening to the 1000-second album podcast. This season, we're talking about must-hear lists as I continue to ask people that are important to me all about the music that's important to them. Enjoy.
Please welcome Greg Ridge.
Thanks so much for having me on, Jeff. I've listened to a lot of these podcasts, and I know that you have lots of my friends and some of my family members that have been on as well. So it's a privilege, and I'm really excited to be here.
Delightful, excellent, and delight as well to be talking about the year 1982.
Yes,
and I guess the opening question would be, why are we talking about 1982? What is it about this year in particular?
I think that 1982 has had a lot of really. It's a really strong year for the quality and quantity of music that's put out, but it also lives in this very historically interesting area in that you have the emergence of synth instruments that are being used more commonly in pop music after a number of years of experimentation, and also that it's the year after MTV came out. And so you have this new monoculture that's being built, on top of it also being what's considered the second wave of the British invasion. So one of the things that I noticed upon reflection after looking at my top five was most of the songs are from British artists, which I hadn't thought about at the time. And the other thing I want to mention is, because I wasn't alive at this point, is that many of my picks were actually influenced from me as a kid watching Pop-Up Video. Yes. Because most of the videos from Pop-Up Video were from the first 2 years of MTV in the first season. Which is something I also didn't pick up on until I thought about it later in reflection. So, yeah.
Love it. And yeah, I think many of my fun facts also come from Pop-Up Video as well. I think that's where I first learned that all of the ironic situations in Alanis Morissette's Ironic were not actually ironic. And so,
it's great. It's a great literary tool.
Yeah.
Teach you about literature, yeah.
Nice. And it's funny, I remember another topic we'd thrown around was albums from the, 2008 to 2012, and when I started looking at those years, I was like, oh, those are the years when we were the babies were starting to arrive. Yes, and I realized my playlist during those years would have been more like Raffi and Sharon Lois and Bram and the Wiggles and that sort of thing. So I was like, maybe that one I'd have to go back and research a little.
Oh, the Paw Patrol Christmas album, exactly. I'm sure is excellent. Yeah.
It's all hits, no misses on that one. And but it's funny because the 1982 I would have been all of about 1 month old. So it's fun.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's fun revisiting this one from a few decades later with this lens, and I think I'm curious if we will overlap, but either way, it should be good.
There will be a lot of honorable mentions,
yes.
And ones that just fell literally 1 month outside of 1982 in one direction or another. So I'll mention, but of course, yeah.
Nice. So the question is, in no particular order, where did you go with one of your song choices from '82?
My first pick is A Town Called Malice by The Jam. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a big fan of that kind of Brit punk pop feel. They came out at the same time in the mid to late 70s as the Buzzcocks. But there's something about this song. It's got a great bass beat to it. That organ comes in. It's just very catchy, very memorable. And I think my first exposure to it was actually, aside from my mom, who had a large collection of British punk pop, believe it or not, LPs when I grew up, but it was from Billy Elliot. Movie Billy Elliot, which is one of my favorite movies. And so, yeah, wonderful song, very illustrative about this time and place in England in particular, where there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of political unrest, but at the same time, there's this message of we need to take control. We can do it if we really want, even if a town is possibly called Malice.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I like it. And I don't know that one. I had so from that 1001 albums book that I went through, they had a couple of albums by The Jam on there, the All Mod Cons, and the one from 1980 as well, but I didn't get as far as 82, so A Town Called Malice, I'm very curious about that one. That's
we'll put it on after this. It's a blast. Yeah.
I like it. Nice. So, but speaking of albums in particular from that year, when I was thinking, what are my favorite full-length albums from '82? It led me to Billy Joel and his record, The Nylon Curtain. And when choosing, because there's, again, so many good ones on there, when in doubt, go with the opener, and I went with Allentown, which, again, an all-timer for me. It's, and it also... there's certain songs, you mentioned the idea of a time and place. There's certain songs that take me back to a time and place in the personal life. And in the year 2000, some friends and I drove to Philly to see the Tragically Hip. And
Amazing.
on the way, we drove, I don't know if we actually drove through Allentown or we got close enough so the highway said Allentown sort of this way. And so it was very important to us to have Allentown playing as we drove past Allentown, so that'll always bring a smile for me there. And we also of course had to go, we were just near Delaware, so we had to recreate the Wayne's World. Hi, I'm in Delaware. Yes. But for those reasons and more, just a fantastic opener with the sort of like the factory sound effects as percussion. Billy Joel, Allentown is a must-hear from '82.
That's awesome. That's a great pick. And I feel like there may not be a lot of overlap here, but that's okay. That's great. I think this is fantastic. So before the podcast, we were talking about technicalities and rules, which I unfortunately am a big nerd about. But I wanted to make sure. So one of the things that we had agreed upon for all of those listening out there is that if the single wasn't necessarily released in '82, but the album was, that it would still be eligible. And so as a result, I had to shift my list around a little bit, and thank you so much for that, Jeff. Next one is Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. So Thriller was released in November of '82. Billie Jean was not released as a single until January of '83, but due to these clarifications of the rules, I'm very, very happy to understand. This is one of the pop songs that has, I don't know if you know this, Jeff, I played bass for many, many, many years. And so it's one of the most recognizable bass lines in pop music, and is just, I think, if you're talking about, dance music, you can't get any better than this. It's so good. I remember there was a David Alan Grier, who was an actor. Yep. And he said, because he was older, he's like, when you went to the dance floor and they put that on and it was on the movie on the screen there, they were projecting it or on the TV, everybody stopped and they would just watch it. That's how much of a cultural impact that song has, on top of just being an absolute banger. So yeah, that would be my next pick.
Nice, exemplary choice. And it's funny, I was on the fence as to where I'd go next. I had Billy Joel, Billie Jean jumped to mind initially with the same initials, but I thought if I'm going to Thriller, I have to go with the one I adored as a kid, and that would be Beat It. Yeah. Which again, it's like if 2025 me thinks Nylon Curtain is the greatest from that era, I think any age up till 10 or more would have been Thriller.
Incredible.
And so it's funny, I don't have the video evidence for it, and maybe that's not the worst thing, that it lives on in the imagination otherwise, but my folks have told me I had the glove, I had the moonwalk on the driveway. And they would rent the library, I guess, had a VHS of the making of Thriller, and so we'd watch that. But it was Beat It that particularly spoke to me from the album, and the riff, of course, on guitar. Like if Billie Jean's got the bass line and just that perfect drum beat, I'd argue that Beat It's got the ultimate guitar riff and guitar solo, courtesy of Eddie Van Halen as well. Yeah. And when in doubt, you got to go with the one that Weird Al has done a parody of with Eat It.
I was just thinking about that. How many of these will have Weird Al parodies at the end?
But no, it's again, amazing record, and no wrong answers from it. I'll go with Beat It to match your Billie Jean.
Amazing.
Nice. Where'd you go with round three?
Oh, round three. I've got Back on the Chain Gang by the Pretenders from the Learning to Crawl album.
Yes.
I think everything about this song is perfect. It has a very kind of unique, like the guitar production quality feels old but new at the same time. Like it's been put through a kind of synth filter, but not quite. And then you have that guitar, like the melodic guitar riff at the beginning. The lyrics are fantastic. They feel evocative of a relationship that's gone awry, but also simultaneously like talking about external forces that affected it. I was literally listening to it in the car on the way here and go, man, this song is like just a perfect pop song. Yeah. Chrissy Hines, shout out to you. And just, one of my favorite songs in general. So yeah.
Yeah, no, she has a fabulous presence, and I agreed completely. The guitar tones and a lot of the Pretender stuff,
Yeah.
magnificent. Nice. The for my third one, it's funny. Once filtered in and out of the list, and this was one that worked its way back in over the last few days, and so Elvis Costello and the Attractions.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So the 1001 Albums book, it had 6 of them, which 6 of his albums, which at the time was like, is that too many? Is that extraneous? Is it more than we need? But if they didn't include all 6, including Imperial Bedroom, I wouldn't have been able to hear his song "You Little Fool," which ended up being one of mine from the list because it has a few of the check marks that I that I inevitably will approve of. One of which being, I love when a harpsichord makes a cameo in pop music. And
I'm making the chef's perfect gesture right now. Yeah.
And so it's this great juxtaposition of this 1600s, 1700s Baroque harpsichord piece that's very bright and lively. But then you mentioned the idea of the relationship gone awry and Back in the Chain Gang. The lyrics are sort of, it sounds like the beginnings of a relationship that inevitably will go awry, where it's like someone going, like a girl pursuing a dude that's probably not going to be the long-term future, but going in that direction anyways.
He's just not that into you.
No.
But yeah, though.
That's right. The line that jumped out at me was that it was a bird in his hand and 2 on a string, so it doesn't sound like he's overly committed either. And so, but overall, just that sort of real balance of eras colliding, and lovely. Elvis Costello and the Attractions, "You Little Fool."
Have you ever listened to any Vampire Weekend by any chance?
Just a little. The first one and the most recent one, actually.
Right. So that kind of Baroque pop feel definitely came from songs like that, right?
Yes.
I've listened to some Elvis Costello, but not a lot. Mm-hmm. I've definitely listened to this, and it's interesting how he exists in the space that's simultaneously under-recognized, but also very he's very influential. And so that's a fantastic pick, Jeff.
Nice. And I have recent me to thank because it wasn't on it until a day or so ago.
It sounds like our list both shifted around a lot.
It's always a moving target.
Of course. Yeah.
Nice. And how about choice number 4?
Ooh, okay. So one of the things I was talking about with synth experimentation, and it helped a lot, I think, with bands in the creation of mood in production. And so my next pick is "Iran" by A Flock of Seagulls, and something that again I was exposed to as I was older. It was in I believe the advertising campaign for Grand Theft Auto.
I love it.
The 80s one. And so, but also just this idea, this driving beat that comes out of it after, the initial minute or so of introduction, and the guitar that kind of exists with this echo, but also does the melodic riffs and also doubles the voice. It felt a lot like the B-52s to me, where the rhythm / lead guitar is its own voice in a very unique way, and also the song is kind of unique in a sense that the main character, usually when you're talking about romance, you're running towards, they're trying to attract the person. But in this case, they're literally running away.
So far
away. But at the same time, they couldn't get away. And it's just really unique subject matter, and also something that I was exposed to from pop-up video. Yeah. And it's just a fantastic song. So yeah, that's my number 4 pick.
I like it. And the not all the groups had a hairstyle named after it as well.
No. Not many were as unique as that one. No.
And I think I can't remember if Pop-Up Video brought it up, but just how in the video the singer
he's only playing one note, one note on the keyboard the whole time. Yeah, it's great.
That's all you need. Nice. So the for my 4th one, I'm delighted she's back again on another list. It's funny that based on the topics from this year, certain artists seem to come up more than others, and anytime you can have a list featuring Kate Bush is a good list.
Yes.
And so her 1982 album is The Dreaming, and it's a good one, and my favorite song on that is a song called There Goes a Tenor, and it's the second track. and it's all about a sort of they're sort of planning a bank heist or that sort of thing, and it goes amiss. And so it's just an interesting lyrical tune from that sense, where like early in the song they're planning it, but then when it all falls apart, the person's saying like they won't get a word out of me until they, my legal representation arrives or whatever. So it's just a unique theme for a tune. And I really like when artists can sneak in a word that you wouldn't think would fit in a pop song, like seeing. Did you go to Sloan?
I didn't go to the Sloan concert, but I've been to many Sloan concerts.
So I was delighted when they played "Snowsuit Sound" as part of the encore, which managed to feature the lyric "Cinceltine." And so
good.
Yeah, so when Kate was able to sneak the word "solicitor" into a verse, I was like, well played, Kate.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, very catchy, sort of very staccato, and one of my favorites by her. So there goes the tenor, Kate Bush.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a great pick. Yeah. No, I. No offense, Jeff. I thought there might be a Kate Bush pick in there. I'm not sure.
No, guilty as charged. So of course the honor mentions go on, but for the fifth one,
I've got "Our House" by Madness. Mm-hmm. This is a song that I've been exposed to ever since I was very young. I feel like personally I relate to it a lot because I lived in a very small house. I didn't have a large family. But my dad was a musician, so that was one of the things that he did. And so we would have band practices at the house sometimes, or I would go to other band members' houses and do practices. And my mother was one of 5, my dad was like one of, like 14. So like there's large family. So there would always be these large family things going on. So when they talk about the house being busy and the mother being house proud, that's one thing. And also I used to be in a band in high school called the Reasonably Good Band. And we played a lot of jazz and horn music. And this was one of the songs that we were debating whether to do an arrangement of. And I don't know if you've listened to the song, but the key changes like 7 damn times in the last minute, like on top of everything else, to the point where you notice that the singers are having a little difficulty with the transitions.
Yes,
and I kind of find it more charming for the fact of that. Yeah. But just a really driving bass, great horn support, and it just builds a story, or it builds an idea of a time and place. And I think that's just excellent songwriting. I mean, it's not One Step Beyond where I'm immediately dancing.
Yes.
It's just another one of their songs. But I really find this adorable. And on reflection, it was one of those ones that crept up into the list the more I listened to it. That would be my number 5.
I like it. Our House. That's what I'd forgotten about all the key changes, but I like it. Nice. For my 5th one, it was one that, again, certain songs will remind you of certain people, certain places, and the group is called the Gap Band, and the song is called "You Dropped a Bomb on Me," which is, again, it's an unbelievably catchy tune, and it's one where I normally don't care for sirens in songs because the siren will always get your attention, but this one has this one has the sound effects of bombs dropping from the air, which is an unusual choice, but again, it was 1982, and but it's just a great driving beat. And what was neat for me to learn in recent years, so Dave Grohl would be, if we had the supergroup discussion of who would be your singer, guitarist, bassist, drummer, I would usually pick Dave Grohl as the drummer because he has that versatility and can sing and do all these things as well. And he was saying that a lot of the stuff he did on Nevermind actually borrowed heavily from this group, the Gap Band. So it was neat here because it's sort of like I think it would probably be classified as like disco era stuff, but it just ended up working really well in the Seattle music as well.
Didn't the Foo Fighters do a disco album?
Probably.
I think they did. It's like a one-off thing. Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's and it's the kind that just, you never know what songs end up on, like when you're back in the day driving with friends on the mix CD that was in the car on the playlist in this era, but just that's one that ended up in our common rotation, and so it always puts me in a great mood when I hear it. So despite the less than ideal topic of having a bomb dropped on oneself,
it's heartwarming for sure. But
but it always brings a nice energy to it. So to round out my list, the Gap Band, "You Dropped a Bomb on Me."
Oh, okay, that's the only one I haven't heard from so I'm gonna have to check that out immediately. But yeah, that's super cool. I do have a couple of honorable mentions.
Yes, and they are.
Oh, okay. So the ones that didn't quite make the list, but were released in 1982.
Yeah.
That's the caveat. Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran.
Mm-hmm.
Vacation by the Go-Go's. Maneater by Hall & Oates. That's another example of like that the synth production setting up a mood that was very reflective of what I think of the 80s music as being, perhaps unfairly. Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye, which is just a fantastic song.
And when you get that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Raining Men by the Weather Girls,
Nice.
which these are all fun. And then I have three that, if they had been followed our very technical rules,
Rigid.
as you laid out, very rigid, Greg Ridge, rigid, would have been on the list, which is Don't You Want Me Baby by the Human League, which was released at the very end of 1981. Dixieland Delight by Alabama.
Okay.
So the band that my dad played in was a country bluegrass band. So they played a lot of Alabama.
Yeah.
That was released as a single in January of '83, and the album actually came out a couple months later. And then finally, Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, which was a single and album release in January of '83.
Oh, so close.
So, just like literally 2 weeks outside of the cutoff. But I figured I'd give them a shout out because in all incredible pieces of music. And Dixieland Delight in particular is, to me, is just such a joyous thing. If you haven't listened to it.
I have not. No, it's new to me.
Oh, no, it's great. So they won like 5 or 6 during the 80s country music awards bands of the year, like in succession. I highly recommend checking that out. So yeah,
nice, excellent choices. And Annie Lennox is always welcome around.
Oh yes, of course. Aside from Walking on Broken Glass, so they just the Eurythmics are an incredible band and or group, and
for sure. No, that for the Hall & Oates, Private Eyes was, I think, the last one to get scratched off the list for me because I was so close to being there. And then I also had the Cure. So they had an album in '82, but then the single "Let's Go to Bed" came out in like November, December. It's like, so close. But I have a feeling they'll show up on a few more lists eventually. Yes. So, but no, lots of gemstones. I like that whole range from Alabama to Michael Jackson to the Jam and everything in between. So
I think that the year is really rich for music. We were talking before the podcast. I made a list for my friend Brandon Tozo, who I believe is one of your upcoming guests, perhaps your next one. Stay tuned. Which is Brandon's 1982 birthing music, because he was born in 1982, and it contains a list of all the big singles from that year. Yeah. So I'm just gonna list very rapidly a couple that we didn't even talk about. Jack and Diane.
Yes.
John Mellencamp. Heat of the Moment. Asia. Don't Talk to Strangers, Rick Springfield, Hold Me, Fleetwood Mac, Goody Two Shoes, Adam Ant, Eye of the Tiger, Survivor, and of course, we got to get our Canadian content in here. Working for the Weekend by Loverboy, which is one of my dad's favorites, strangely enough. It's a really rich year for music, and also a rich year for like cultural influence. So we're talking about MTV, and so that was part of the reason that I chose this year, and it was just it was actually a complete treasure to go back and search, like, what else am I missing from 1982? So thanks, Jeff, for the opportunity.
Thank you. And I think all of these tunes as well, it's not we go back and be like, oh, what were we thinking about that? It's like, no, they're still catchy, they're still great.
They're timeless for a reason. I didn't even mention the Police.
No.
Right? Like there were so many different acts that came out. So
that's good, which is the best kind of problem to have.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, a huge thank you for coming today, Greg, and until the next time.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
This has been the 1000-Second Album Podcast. Thanks for sharing some of your time, energy, and attention with us today. Take care.